The last two GIS tools and techniques we want to share with you to leverage spatial analysis and geographic information systems in the social studies classroom is the use of the filtering tool and the sort and ascending and statistics function in the data tables. This is really an opportunity to share with you the system that is GIS. How do you get the maps to interact with the data tables to give you different results? The activity I want to use is one that was available during week 2 of the course. The activity is titled Querying the Reach of Jim Crow Laws, which is adapted from a lesson created by Scott Mace, who is a U.S. history teacher in Charlottesville, Virginia. He spent a year researching and creating a data table of Jim Crow laws passed at the state level, and the students are given an opportunity to search the Jim Crow laws using ArcGIS. So in the activity, it links you to an ArcGIS online map, which we have up already here. So the way it works is you come over here and you go to your Content tab. Then you'll notice here is your Jim Crow shapefile, and we've got it labeled iSTEM Jim Crow Law. The table behind this is right here. This is what Scott built a few years ago. If you ever see the negative 99s, that's the way that GIS used to label things where there were no data. There was no data available. And you'll see that he broke down Jim Crow laws by, were they education laws, marriage laws, civic participation laws, voting laws, transportation laws, public accommodation laws, and how many laws altogether. And then he also found a list of lynchings by state. So that's the table behind this map. So the activity starts with asking students, where was Jim Crow? And usually students will associate it with the South, and the goal with the activity was to show that Jim Crow laws reached outside the South if you accept the definition that a Jim Crow law is a law that discriminates based on race, ethnicity, or gender. So to filter, you hover over your layer and you choose the filter, and let's go ahead and just ask the map, show me where total Jim Crow laws is at least 18 laws. So these are states that passed a law at the state level that would discriminate deliberately on the population. And this is where the numbers are 18 laws. And when we choose apply, notice that the map changes. And these are all the states that passed at least 18 Jim Crow laws. And usually the anomaly that students immediately notice is California, because California is always presented as a progressive state, and it is in a lot of ways, but it also shows that California had a number of laws that discriminated. They had 6 education laws, 7 marriage laws, 4 civic participation laws, 2 public accommodation laws, and then total Jim Crow laws. What that leads to is a conversation of who was California discriminating against, and it's the Chinese, the Asian Americans, the Native Americans, and Mexican Americans or Hispanics. And students raises a lot of questions. They're also surprised that Florida did not have that many laws. Florida did have a lot of Jim Crow laws, but not that many. They then often ask, well, which state passed the most laws? And that's where the power of the table comes in. So over here you'll see you have the function to show the table. Then you can go up here and you can go to total Jim Crow laws. When you hover over the field, you choose to click on the field, and it gives you an opportunity to sort that data ascending or descending. And when you go to descending, you'll notice that Kentucky passed 43 total Jim Crow laws. That's a lot of legislation of segregation and discrimination. And you'll notice when I highlight the state, it becomes highlighted on the map. If I hold down the Shift key and choose Louisiana, it comes up Texas, Georgia, and Mississippi. So then when you ask the students where was Jim Crow most severe, then they see the Deep South. And that's really what's nice about this software, is the interactivity. So if you can walk away from this course knowing how to measure, knowing how to bookmark, knowing how to turn on and off layers, and to do queries or filters and use the data table, you're on your way to being a solid intermediate user of GIS with all of the activities we've shared with you. This week, we're going to ask you to build your own Civil War map. You're going to start with searching for layers, and you're going to build a Civil War map, and you're going to learn to use some spatial analysis to analyze the Civil War. And our hope is that you'll see how powerful GIS is to show the interplay between geography and history. This map right here shows a filtering of all of the major and decisive Civil War battles as classified by the Civil War Preservation Trust. And if you look at it, you can see certain patterns. It doesn't show every battle because we filtered it out, and that's the real beauty. I like to call it accordion mapping. With filtering, you can choose to reveal what you'd like, and you can reveal patterns that traditional paper maps do not. Good luck this week, and do reach out to your advisor if you have any questions. Thanks.